Good evening, today is the 1st of February. Welcome to Voices of British Orthodoxy. I am Rita Laza. I hope you've all had a wonderful day. We have a lot of saints, both in the book and the group chat and the Celtic Saints website. I didn't actually count properly how many there are, but... Oh, sorry, my bad. This could be one of those rare days where there's actually more entries in the book. Anyway, today we celebrate Saint Brigid of Kildare. Her thing is first. Her icon is here. I think I'm going to go through every other saint and then we will return to her. So the first entry is for Our first entry for today is Saint Cinia of Ulster, and she is from the 5th century. Saint Cinia was a princess of the Kingdom of Ulster, who, upon becoming a Christian, became a nun and entered a monastery under the care of Abbess Cafuberis. She was responsible for the conversion of many of her pagan fellow countrymen, and was renowned for miracles. Saint Cinia was, she reposed towards the end of the 5th century AD. Does she have a group chat entry? She does not. She does not come up in the group chat, which is interesting. I want to just... Okay, no, that is... Okay, there's another person with a similar name that I just checked. We're actually looking for Cruena next. There we go. Our next entry is for Saint Cruena, and she is also from the 5th century. A companion of Saint Briaca, who we commemorated on the 4th of June, on her trip from Ireland to Cornwall, forgive me. The only record extant of this saint is the place name Crowan near Earth. Okay. There we go. Our next entry... Oh, wait, forgive me. The group chat entry for Saint Cruena is... There isn't actually any. Forgive me. There isn't actually a group chat entry for for Cruena. Our next entry is for Saint Darladak, also known as Dardloaka or Darlodak, and she is from the 6th century. Saint Darlodak was Saint Brigid's favourite pupil and a successor as Abbess of Kildare. Saint Ultan, who is commemorated on the 4th of September, in his Life of Saint Brigid, writes that at one point Darladak had fallen in love, and one evening when she was to have met her lover, she left the bed in which she and Saint Brigid were sleeping. Knowing the perilousness of what she was about to do, she prayed to God for guidance, placed burning embers in her shoes, and then put them on. Thus by fire she put out fire, and by pain extinguished pain. She then returned to bed. Saint Brigid, though apparently asleep, knew all, but said nothing. The next day, Darlugdak told Saint Brigid everything, who then told her she was now safe from the fire of passion here, and the fire of hell hereafter. And then Saint Brigid healed Saint Darludak's feet. Do forgive me if I butchered the pronunciation. There is a tradition that Saint Brigid told her she would die on the first anniversary of her own repose. Saint Darladak did in fact repose on the anniversary of Saint Brigid's repose, circa AD 524. The group chat entry simply just says Saint Darlugdak of Kildare, bracket Darlugdaka, successor of Saint Brigid as second Abbess of Kildare in Ireland, c. 524 AD. The next entry is for Saint Jarlath. Does he have an entry here? Yes, he does. Also known as Hierlath, and he is also from the 5th century. a disciple of St. Patrick, who was commemorated on the 17th of March, and successor of St. Benignus, bracket 9th of November, to the Sea of Armor. Little more is known of him. It appears that St. Jarlath reposed circa AD 480. He doesn't have a book group chat entry either. Next entry, though, is for Saint Kinia. Okay, I'm a bit confused, so... This says 6th century, the book says 5th century. But the entry seems overall to be the same. St. Kinia was a holy maiden baptized by St. Patrick, who was commemorated on the 17th of March, and then by him consecrated to God. She is greatly venerated in County Louth. Pretty much the same entry as from here. She does not have an entry in the group chat. And the final entry is for Saint Serial, who doesn't have an entry on the Celtic Saints website, but does have an entry in both the group chat and the book. Saint Serial, and he is from the 6th century. This early 6th century AD hermit gave his name to the island of Ynys Serial, which translates to Puffin Island, off the coast of Anglesey, Wales, where the remains of his hermitage still exist. It had been said that he and Saint Cobby, who we commemorated back on the 8th of November, were good friends, and would meet weekly near Clan Nurchimid. I don't know how to pronounce Welsh, outside of knowing to say clan to start it off. Anyway, at the Clorach Wells. The group chat entry says Saint Serial, abbot of Penmon Priory, Anglesey, bracket 6th century AD. Saint Serial was a early 6th century Welsh saint and the founder of Penmon Priory on Anglesey off the coast of North Wales. He was the son of King Owain Danwyn of Ross, and a younger brother of Kings Kinless of Ross and Einion of Al-Y with a accent N, so Cla something N. According to tradition, Serial established a hermitage or cell at Penmon, which later became the site of a monastery. His brothers, dissatisfied with the simplicity of his dwelling, built a more substantial monastic community around his cell, making him its first abbot. In later years, Serial retired to the place I spelled out earlier that translates to Puffin Island, which is named in his honour. So we do have 2 unique entries that are only unique to the book, the group chat, forgive me, which is Saint Ursus of Aosta. Born in Ireland, he preached against Arianism in the south of France, and later went to Aosta in Italy, bracket 6th century, and then Saint Brigid the Younger, sister of Saint Andrew the Scot, abbot of Saint Donatus in Fiesole in Tuscany in Italy, bracket 9th century. Now, this entry is probably going to take me a while to get through. Of all the icons, I figured this one was probably the best. The one done by Uncut Mountain is obviously beautiful. And obviously, if you are listening to this, you should avoid the monastery icon one. But anyway, our next entry is Saint Brigid of Kildare, and she is from the 6th century. I'm going to scroll this down so that you can read her thingy entry, and then I will start reading. The Mary of Ireland, our venerable mother Brigid of Kildare, or Brigid of Ireland, bracket, Bridget, bride, or in Gaelic, Naomh space Bhrid, was an Irish nun abbess and founder of several convents. Along with St. Patrick of Ireland, bracket 17th of March, and St. Columba, 19th of June, she is one of the 3 patron saints of Ireland. Then in the book it randomly has the Troparion and the Kontakion, but I will use this as an opportunity to scroll for you all. According to tradition, St. Brigid was born at Fallart near Dundalk in County Louth, Ireland, to Dubhthach, a pagan chieftain of Leinster, and Brucha, a Christian Pictish slave who had been baptized by St. Patrick. Known for her compassion for the poor even as a youth, giving away her family's food and valuable possessions to those in need, and despite family objections, she was drawn to the monastic life. After her family saw there was no possibility to convince her to pursue a life in the world, a young St. Brigid received monastic tonsure at the hands of St. Melvard Arda, bracket 6th of February. Soon after, she established a monastery on land called Sildara, bracket Kildare, or Kildare, or the Church of the Oak, which has been given to her by the King of Leinster, thus founding woman's Coenobitic monasticism in Ireland. Coenobitic monasticism in Ireland. Under St. Brigid's leadership, this monastery grew to become one of the most prestigious in Ireland and famous throughout Christian Europe. Renowned for her common sense and most of all for her holiness, even in her lifetime, she was regarded as a saint. St. Brigid reposed circa AD 525 and was buried in a tomb before the high altar of her monastery. During the Danish invasions, her relics were translated to Downpatrick, where they were buried with those of St. Patrick of Ireland and St. Columba of Iona. Late in the 13th century AD, her head was extracted and brought to Portugal by 3 Irish knights on their way to fight in the Holy Land. They left this holy relic in the parish church of Luminar in northern Lisbon. Portions of the relic were brought back to Ireland in AD 1929 and placed in the new Church of St. Brigid in Dublin. Technically, okay, cool. There we go. Feel free to pause and read this while I read the group chat entry. St. Brigid of Kildare, brackets 450 C.451 to 524 AD, was an Irish nun, abbess, and one of Ireland's 3 patron saints alongside Saints Patrick and Columba. She is celebrated for founding the double monastery at Kildare around 480 AD for both men and women, which became a major centre of religion, learning, and art in early medieval Ireland. One day, at her touch, the wood at an altar immediately sprouted into life in testimony of her virginity. Right, I will give you a chance to pause for 5 seconds to read all of this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then we scroll down. So, the Troparion is sung in tone 1. Also, she does have a canon, but I don't know if it's really in my scope, at the very least yet, to include such things, but if you look that up on Google, the recourse church in Cardiff has given her a thingy, and has given her a canon. And whilst I haven't checked, I imagine Orthodox England probably has liturgics for her. But I mean, that's probably something that I'll probably want to speak about more once we're done with the Year of Saints. Anyway, Troparion of St. Brigid of Kildare, sung in the first tone. I'm going to read it for you, and obviously this will be in the description for you all. O holy Brigid, you became sublime through your humility, and flew on the wings of your longing for God. When you arrived in the eternal city and appeared before your divine spouse, wearing the crown of virginity, You kept your promise to remember those who have recourse to you. You shower grace upon the world and multiply miracles. Intercede with Christ our God, that he may save our souls. This is, like, I don't know, King James English version. I'm reading from the book, as I normally tend to do when we have the same. Anyway, source across multiple areas. The Holy Virgin the Kontakion is sung in the 4th tone. The Holy Virgin Brigid, full of divine wisdom, went with joy along the way of evangelical childhood, and with the grace of God attained in this way the summit of virtue. She now bestows blessings upon those who came to her with faith. O Holy Virgin, intercede with Christ our God, that he may have mercy on our souls. May those saints intercede for us before the righteous judge. I've been Rita Lazar. God bless you all. And Amen.